Okay, gang, welcome to Tuesday of week 7. We've only got, gosh, 6 more classes. And Rob Martin and I had talked about potentially having you guys showcase your projects at the end of next week as part of our last session or two. So if you are not comfortable with that, you can reach out to me on Slack. That's totally fine. You don't have to show it off, but we would like to take the last 2 days to have you guys do screen shares and talk about some of the things you learned and some of the things you would like to learn maybe going forward. Okay, so I will recap what we did last session, but first of all, I wanted to show you the animation project that I sent on Slack. It was a zip file, and I've got it open here. I think it was called animations.zip. And what this is just a basic third person character project, but it has this folder here called Anims. And I have put some custom animations in here that we can use in our game. So we could either just drag these in here like that, zoom in. If we did play from here, we could go up to it and see that, hey, we got a character that's kind of cheering and all that good stuff. So let's open up one of these files just to see what it looks like. Let's do the let's do the sit-ups. Double click that. And this is an animation file in Unreal Engine. This tells you what skeleton it's using and some other things. You can also rotate the camera around like you would just with any other game object. Now, if we go down here, we could see a couple things like rate scale, which is how fast the animation plays back. So if we change this to maybe 0.5, we can see that looks like, yeah, that's kind of what it looks like when I try to do sit-ups. So if we conversely put it to 2, we get a lot faster. Okay, so just wanted to point that out. That's what these animations are. Okay, so I'll close that. And I wanted to again review how you can migrate assets from one project to another. So we will click on our content folder, right click, and go to migrate. And I'm not going to save those. So we do that again. Content folder, right click, migrate, don't save. And see, it's wanting to export everything, which we don't really need. We only want these animations. So I'm going to go to all this other stuff and uncheck it. Click OK. Then it's going to ask us where. And if you remember, we want to go to our soccer project, to the content folder, very important, and then click the select folder button. All right, that's good to go. We'll close this down. And now I am going to go and open my soccer project. Hopefully it won't take too long to load up. And those animations are optional. You don't have to use them, but they're kind of fun. Give a little flavor to the game. Close that, close that. And let's just recap what we did yesterday. We worked on some audio in our level blueprint. We went here and we said, all right, once we begin play, let's play this sound, which was the ambient sound, and then the music that we picked. And we went over some sources to find royalty free stuff. And then if we press play, we get the ambient sound, the music, we score a goal, we still have our whistle sound. Okay. So that's all good. This we worked on yesterday. Now let's go to this new folder called Anims. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine that this is a practice field, and I want to have some just kind of like NPC characters over here doing a variety of things. So all I'm going to do is drag this in here. And let's see, maybe turn this one around here. This one is an excited person. And let's see, what else? It's another cheering. And this is a person that's just kind of looking around. All right, so we'll save up and let's go check that out. All right, so we got some NPCs in our level now. This one looks kind of scared. Okay. So another tip I wanted to give you is obviously it gets to be very annoying when you're trying to test out your game constantly and you have to hear the main music in the level. So what we do here is we'll go back to our level blueprint and we will just go here and we're going to disconnect this and we'll drag around here. We'll press C for a comment and say reconnect when building the final game. That way we can test and not have to listen to the music all the time. And trust me, it can get very annoying. Okay. And there's one more I wanted to do, and this was a person that's, I think, sitting. Well, let's get the sit-up person over here, kind of working on the sidelines. And then another one was a, let's see, cheering while sitting. Okay, so this is fun. And I'll just do a play from here, which gets to be really hard with the zoom thing always in the way. Okay, play from here. So we can see that, well, that is really cool looking, but she's kind of floating on midair. So let's just do another thing, which is fun when you have seated animations. And I'm just going to do something really simple here. Actually, let me go into my content folder, click on static mesh, and yeah, let's just bring this box, this crate here. And that's obviously too big, so we'll just scale it down a little bit. That's looking pretty good. There we go. Okay. And we'll rotate it slightly so it looks like it's kind of natural. And let's try this out again. Do a play from here. Oops, sorry. Having a little bit of a blip here after I hid those zoom controls. Bear with me just a sec. Maybe I could alt back out of there. There we go. Sorry about that. Do the play from here again. All right, so that looks cool. So we got a character here that's kind of cheering on. Maybe I could make it a little bit better. Move this character up here a little bit. There we go. Okay, so again, those were the animations that that were in the animation pack that I sent you. So do feel free to use those and have fun with those. All right, so the next thing we're going to work on is our main menu. So we're going to have a menu that comes up that happens before we even get to this level that lets us play the game or exit the game. And before we do that, I want to show you some of the things that I got for the menu. I got a custom font called hardsports.ttf. And I also got this soccer image. I got that from Unsplash, which if we haven't already been there, that's another great source for royalty-free imagery. And for the font, one of my favorite free font places is called dafont.com. And there's just all kinds of fonts here. Your fonts can really make a difference in your game. A lot of developers, especially just starting out, will just use the default font that comes with Unreal Engine and also with Unity. But using a special font can really make your game stand out. And you just want to make sure that it's that has it's usually these are all 100% free or free for personal use. So always do check the license on that. So I got one called hardsports.ttf. And now let's go back in here. And if you recall correctly, we have one widget blueprint. Remember, that's a very special kind of blueprint that holds user interface stuff. Okay. And this is our, I believe this is our timer, and then this is our goals scored. So we're going to create another one that's like this, but it's a main menu. So I'm going to right click in my blueprints folder and go all the way down here to user interface and widget blueprint. This will be a user widget. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to call this WBP, which is widget blueprint. You don't have to use that naming convention. I just like to be consistent with mine. And I'm going to call this main menu. Okay. And we'll open it up, and we don't have anything in it right now. So we need to add a couple things. But I am going to dock that for now because I want to import this image that I downloaded, which is the ladies playing soccer. Okay, there's that. And I'm going to import the font, which is a TrueType font, TTF. And that's right there. And I'll just say, yes, that's fine. And let me go ahead and save everything up here. Okay. So let's go here. If you remember, the first thing we had to add was a canvas, which is a big container, usually the size of a computer monitor, that's going to hold all of our user interface stuff. Next, I'm going to add a text, which I'll do by going up here to the palette. You could go in here and search for it here, but to me, it's just easier just to type whatever you're looking for. So in this case, it's just going to be a simple text. And this is going to be the title of my game, which let's call it Soccer Blast. That will be in your text content folder over here in your details panel. And I'm going to size that up and just kind of manually move it over here. Okay, so that's going to be the title of my game. And instead of this Roboto font, which is the default, or I think it's the only font that comes with Unreal Engine, I'm going to use this new one that I just imported called Hard Sports. So now I got a cool font here. Size it up a little bit. All right, and now I need 2 buttons. So I'm going to search for button. There's that one. Drag it right in here. Size it up. Give it a color other than gray. I think I might do like a blue. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, it's the background color. My bad. There we go. Blue. That looks good. Okay. And then inside of here, this button is also a container. We're going to do another text. And I'm going to click, hold, and drag it right on top of that button. And right here where I picked the blue, that should actually be white, because that's going to be what the color of the type is. Okay, I'll select my text block right here and look for that content, and we'll say play game. And I'm also going to change that to this font right here and get that up there just like that. You can see it's kind of at the bottom part of the button, so I can go and just for the padding, I might increase this to like 4 or 12 actually. Let's do that. There. It's pretty good. Not perfect, but good enough. All right. I'm going to take this and right click and duplicate the whole thing and drag this down here. And this one's going to be quit game, or I'll just say quit. All right, that's looking pretty good. Now I want these to line up perfectly. So I could try really hard to kind of get them evened up here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this and the X position. So obviously as I move it over this way, the X is going to go down. If I move it this way, it's going to go up. So I'm just going to grab this X, select all, copy, and then also for my quit, I'll just select it, right click and paste and hit tab. And now they will be perfectly aligned. Okay, so I'll compile and save. And then the last thing we're going to do, well, two things actually. We're going to type image. I'm going to drag that into here. And I'm going to set the position of X and Y to be 0, 0, which will be right here, this top left corner. And then I'm going to go down here for the brush, and I'm going to choose an image. So I will just search here, type soccer. Well, didn't come up. Let's see what's going on. Let me compile, save. Here's my soccer image. Okay, that should look good. Go over here, back to image, and then let's try to type that again. Soccer. Did it come up? Soccer underscore image. Okay. All right. And that's really small. So I'm just going to go up here to this little handle. And I'm going to drag that so it fills out my canvas. Okay. Now the problem is we've seen that everything is hidden. And that is because if you've ever used an imaging editing program like Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator, you could think of these as like layers. So we need to put this behind everything else. So I'm going to drag it right up here. Okay, that's looking good. One other thing I want to do is I want to add a special effect called a blur. And you see that a lot in game excuse me, game menus. So I'm just going to type blur, background blur, drag that right over there. And I'm going to put this in front of the image because we don't need to blur the buttons, just want to blur that image. I'll size this up. And if you go down here, now you'll see a blur strength, and we can just start to create a nice little Gaussian blur. Okay, awesome. Now we just got to do a couple more things to hook it up. So we're going to go to our button. And just like when we did our cube in some of the cubes we've used where we scrolled down all the way and we had these little plus buttons, like we had one for the cube that was on begin overlap, on end overlap. So we also have a cool thing with the buttons. We can say on clicked. So I'll have, and actually a good practice is to not just let these be button 0, button 1, button 2. So I'm going to rename this BTN play, and I'll rename this one to, there it is, BTN exit. Okay. So with that selected, I'm going to do on clicked. And on here, I just want to say load level by name. And you'll see why this makes sense in just a bit. We're going to put our main menu into its own empty level. Oops, clicked the wrong one. So I'll drag out here, open level by name. And we need to type in the name of the level we want to open, which is going to be soccer. And it's critical that you spell this correctly, and it is case sensitive. So if I typed little s soccer, it would not work. I'll go ahead and compile and save. Go back to my designer. Now let's click the button exit. Same thing, we'll scroll down here on clicked. And then we're just going to drag this pin out. And we're going to type a delay. Actually, it's always good to have a delay, a short delay when you're exiting the program. And even 0.2 seconds is fine. And then after that's complete, we'll just go out here and we're going to say quit game. And that'll close out the game. All right. Now, the last thing we need to do is we need to create a new level. And let me just check our Zoom and make sure nobody's trying to get in real quick. Participants. Okay, we're good to go. I'm going to go to new level, and it's fine that it's just blank, empty. It doesn't need any lighting or anything. And we're going to say create. And then I'm going to save this as main menu. And from the level blueprint, which is what we used yesterday to load up the music, I'm going to go here and go to open level blueprint. And on begin play, I want to create that widget on the screen that we just built, the main menu one. So I'll type create widget. And right here, it's going to ask me which one I should have right down here, WBP main menu. And then we need to add it to the viewport, which means, okay, we got the widget. Now let's add it to the screen. Click OK. And then we need to hook these two up. And let's compile that and save. Go back to the main menu, save all, and let's test it out. Hopefully it'll work. Okay, so I'm rolling my mouse over. We've got our logo, as it were, our blurred background, which looks pretty cool. And let's just test the quit functionality. Okay, so that worked. And now let's test the play the game. So I'll just go here, click, and there we are, right in our game. Okay, so the reason that we did this in its own level is for a couple of reasons. One, it just makes it so that our soccer level, a main level, can focus on stuff that's pertinent to the game, like the audio, some other things that we might add. You can do it from the There is a way that you can do this without just with staying in the same level. I just prefer to keep it as its separate thing. I found that to actually be a lot easier. So let's just recap what we did in our designer, which is our where we lay out all our controls and widgets and things like that. We created this image here. We did the background blur, which if I turn it off with the eyeball, you could see the effect that it had. We created these two buttons, and then in our graph, we see that on the play button, we open this level, and on the quit, we have a very brief delay, and then we quit. And typically what I like to do is we did the play sound 2D last night. Let me see if I can, oh no, we don't have enough time. So I like to create a little click sound because that gives the more feedback you can give the user, the better. So when I just clicked it, but there's no sound, it's kind of hard to know, well, did it work? Is it loading up? So I don't think I can compile here. Oh, I can. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put these in here and I'll just do the whistle sound for now. Okay, whistle. Okay, and let's save up one more time. We'll press play, and if we click here, it should play that whistle and take us into our game. Oh, it didn't. I think it's because we have to give it enough time for the whistle to play before it's loading the level before the whistle can even finish. So we'll go here, put a delay in here. Maybe we'll add 2 seconds. Let's see if that makes a difference. Yep. So sometimes, like that's why I said in the exit, give Unreal Engine a little breathing room, because if you do something instantly, it's already loaded this level before we had this delay. It already loaded the level before we even had a chance to play this. So it's just going to go straight to that. All right, we are at 6:30 my time. Lots of good stuff today. We got our animations in our level. Let me pull that back up. Go ahead and save up there. If you do get a chance to grab those animations, if you haven't already, put them in there and watch some of the fun things that your characters can do. Remember, these are, if you click on them in the game, you also have the play rate down here. So if you wanted to speed them up or slow them down just right here while they're in the level, you can also do that. Maybe you could see if you have any cameras in your level, like I do. See if you can work like this to make it look like they're using some of the props that you might have in your level. All right, that is a wrap. I will stop the recording. And are there any questions? Anybody have any questions?
No questions.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, gang. I will see you Wednesday. Have a great rest of the day and great evening.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Bye.